Hello, welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the cheapest team for the Open Great League currently. What this means is, we're going to have 3 Pokemon here that have a 10k charge move unlocked for the secondary charge move, but not only this, we're going to also have 3 Pokemon here that are non-XL, and 3 Pokemon that don't need any legacy move. This is basically the way of determining the cheapest team kind of possible, and there are only a few Pokemon that really fit that criteria, but honestly, this team completely changed throughout basically this season and the last season compared to when I showcased them the last time around, because the Pokemon completely changed. Like, all of them are kinda new here, and all of them are really strong. For example, Poison Sting buffed the Ariados, Rollout buffed the Elite of Bibarel, and also, of course, the recent release of Corviknight happened. And you might think, oh, this team is not the cheapest because Corviknight is on the team, a Pokemon that you have to pay for. You don't. Like, you really don't have to pay for it. I, played Go Battle League the last few days a little bit. Not even all my sets, not even close. Maybe not even half of my sets I've done the last few, days there. I just didn't have the time for it, honest with that. Like, I had a lot of stuff I really have to be doing. And I encountered quite a lot of them, at least like 10 from Go Battle League in the last like few days since the release basically. And then I hatched at least like 4 or 5 because I was out quite a lot, and only from my standard incubator. I don't put 2 kilometer eggs in like paid incubators, like why the hell would I? And so it is definitely possible to get this Pokemon, and also with Go Battle League currently with Good IVs. So yeah, we're going to take a look here at the cheapest team with that, and we're going to take a look at a very interesting style of the team, and I love the style. And saying as well here, this team worked out well. This team really worked out well, I have to say. I climbed up quite a bit after having some teams before that just didn't work out for me. And this is the cool thing about this team here as well. We're going to have the Corviknight, we're going to have the Sacer of this Pokemon, and we're going to have my favorite moveset on this Pokemon as well with Payback. And Payback is really cool with this team. Even though maybe people don't really see it directly, our lead is one of the hardest answers to Ghost-type Pokemon. While we don't have any super effective damage against it, we just don't take damage from them. And that is the main benefit of it. And with the coverage on our Sacer by being a part Dark-type, we definitely were able to get out quite a lot of Ghost-type Pokemon there that then got punished with Payback, and that was delicious, I have to say. And you know what? Also delicious, us taking those moves here from the Superior. We're actually gonna play it quite interestingly because I decided to just try to waste the energy from the opponent first, so I can swap out now into my Ariados and try to win the battle with it. Sadly, they swap out at the same time into their own Pokemon, and I decided to use a no shield here against the Icy Wind because they're always gonna go for the Icy Wind first. Icy Wind does less damage than, for example, the Drill Run would have done, and I'm just gonna try to win by using a shield here and fully farming them down. I should be able to fully farm them down, get a ton of energy for afterwards. I will be able to get rid of the Superior. And also, I'm going to still be in a position now where I have still the Corviknight with a ton of energy on it. So, we have a Pokemon here that is, I think, at -1 attack currently, but with a ton of energy. And we have Corviknight with even more energy. And so, the Trailblaze was actually quite silly. I should have not done that because I'm at -1 damage as far as I know. So, if I would have swapped out there, I would have been able to clear it and then use it for later on. But I'm still gonna get some nice damage onto the opponent because they are trying to overfarm here, but it just doesn't really work out for them. And I hopefully have them in the range where 2 Iron Heads are going to be enough to knock them out. And as you can see, we have 2 Iron Heads stored already. First one's coming through, going to do some solid damage, and I think another one is going to be enough. I even went for another fast move because I knew that the opponent wasn't in the charge move yet. And so we're going to be able to get the KO. We can move on to the next opponent. Wigglytuff in the lead, and that's going to be perfect because guess what? Our backline is going to be very good against it, and I decided to overfarm by a little bit just to get some nice energy here. But I should have not done this because the opponent actually going to outspeed me now to the Icy Wind compared to me trying to go for the Iron Head, and that was a bit silly, I have to say. They go into the Gaston though, which is okay because we still can hit them for neutral damage with the Payback. And honestly, Payback is such a good move on this Pokemon. Payback is also mostly the hardest hitting move kinda on this Pokemon, because Sky Attack is just not really a great one with 85 damage for 55 energy. That's not really a great move at all. For example, Avalanche does 90 damage for 45 energy. It's also just a standard move, so it does more damage and needs 10 less energy. So like, yeah, it shows that Sky Attack kinda got nerfed quite a bit. To the point that Pokemon like Lugia don't really have play anymore as well, which is kind of sad. I really hope that Lugia gets a new move on it. Just High Shock or something like this would just fix the issue with this Pokemon. But here we're going to see the Marowak in the back, and I'm going to try to most likely see if I can go for the full farm or something. I decided to go for the lunge here to get the KO. Actually, that's going to be fine. But now they only have the Wigglytuff, and honestly, I didn't even think about it, but Wigglytuff's fast move pressure here is sadly a bit too much for us to deal with. And so they're going to be able to take that serve, and we have to get to another serve afterwards, but like we just don't get to back-to-back of them. And so we're sadly going to lose the battle here. Well played by the opponent. Wigglytuff was a bit too tough there. This matchup is actually really great because Bibarel is going to be able to resist the fast move while also only taking, basically resist damage from Icy Wind, so it forces them to go for the Drill Run. They swap out into the Marowak, which is fine for us as well because we can go for the Surf. And because they swapped out, I think they also kind of didn't get the free fast move in there. Now I can maybe even swap out into my own Corviknight. I tried to catch a move here, didn't work out, but even Rock Slide is not going to do that much damage against us, and so we're going to be in a very solid spot. And they even should be kind of in range where a Payback nearly does enough damage to get the KO. But I decided to use a shield now against the Rock Slide. I don't want to get low enough that they can farm me down or something. And so now it's down to Payback on how much damage this move going to do. And it does enough to knock them out, which is really important here. Because now in comes the Dugong again, and we have to take the hit. We should most likely swap out of here, but it's actually a Drill Run for whatever reason, and so we can go for another Payback and hopefully knock them out. Why would you go for a Drill Run here? That didn't really make too much sense. Maybe they expected me to swap out here straight away. That could have been the case. But at this point, I am gonna rely on my Ariadas. I let them go for the Drill Run here. It is not enough to knock us out, and I'm gonna try to go for the full farm run with my Ariadas and try to get as much energy as possible. They can still go for an Icy Wind here to get me kind of low. But Icy Wind is coming through, I can still take it, and they have Corsola in the back. Why Corsola? That's so bad for me. Yeah, this game is over. Like, this is sadly not going to work out for us. Corsola was the Pokemon that I wanted to bait out with the Corviknight. Because they went for their own swap, that just didn't really work out for me. Maybe could have played it better. Most likely could have played it better there. But we can move on to the next opponent. We're going to see a Gastly in the lead. That's going to be quite an interesting Pokemon. And we're going to swap out into our Corviknight, which can resist the fast move and does some neutral damage against them. So that's going to be fine. It's going to be quite a neutral matchup. It's like not going to be the greatest one of us all there. But as you can see as well, we were able to see Impeta here against the opponent, which we're going to lose. But it's totally okay because the only thing that I can really hope for at this point is just to get maybe a shield advantage, because they would have the option to realign themselves very likely because they just don't generate energy fast enough to get to another Iron Head afterwards. And so they decide to use a shield, yeah, and that's okay. That is totally fine. We're gonna go ahead, go into the Bibarel here as well. Bibarel is going to have a great time. The Brutal Swing is coming through. We're gonna try our best to even go for the full farmland here against the opponent. I can use a shield. And that is going to be okay for us, because now we have a ton of energy on our Bibarel. 2 Surf stored, that's over in 90% energy there, and we have now the Hyper Fangs coming through against the opponent's Toxapex. Here's the thing, Toxapex needs a little bit of damage for our Ariadas to really deal with it, but as soon as it has this damage, Ariadas can take those hits quite easily because we resist the poison typing, and we still have Trailblaze to boost ourselves up, so I'm not too worried about the scenario. I can let the Brine go through. It is going to be the Brine. In comes still the Toxapex, and so we can go for another charge move here. Maybe I should have went for it a little bit earlier to boost my attack a bit faster, because then I would have been able to go for the full farm down here as well in time, which is silly by me. But it is what it is. We have to use a shield now. Brine is coming through. In comes the Azumarill. That's playable. That's more than playable. What we can do is we can go for a Trailblaze, get some nice damage. I can go for a lunge now, knowing that the opponent definitely going to have to use a shield here now. This allows us to drop the opponent's attack, and that's going to make it easier for us, because now I can swap out into the Bibarel. So here are two scenarios. Either they would have went for the shield, the charge move here, which they did, or they would have decided to go ahead and go for the full farm on here instead, but neither of them they can actually do because of the debuff on Bubble. They just don't do enough damage, and we can win the battle. Dugong is going to be fine. We stay in here. You kind of want to go actually for 5 fast moves against this Pokemon, but they swap out into the Drapion. And you might wonder, why do you stay in here? Why do you do that? Why do you use a shield here even? I need to have a little bit of damage onto the Drapion. It is a better matchup for our Corviknight to not be in the 2-shield scenario against this opponent's Pokemon, because you need a little bit of damage in order for one Iron Head to KO, which we have now with the roller damage. But also, you don't really want to get hit by more than just 2 crunches. 2 crunches is like basically the limit for this Pokemon to take. And the more time you spend in the matchup, like the more shields they have basically, the more energy advantage the Drapion gonna get compared to you basically, because it needs less energy for charge moves and generates more energy than you. So like it is basically a losing scenario for you to stay in the 2-shield, but in the 0 and 1 shield is actually very solid for you. And so we're gonna be able to take a hit here from the opponent as well. We can definitely get a ton of energy. Maybe we can even go for the full farm down. Let's find out here. We're gonna try our best, but they still survive with 1 HP, and so I'm forced to go for a surf. But the opponent thinks, great opportunity to waste the shield, because even if you use a shield, basically, it always takes 1 HP from your Pokemon. The opponent didn't know that. They tried their best, and this is going to be not game over. It's going to be Corsola. That is actually scary, because now what we have to do is we have to go for a Surf, and we have to swap out of here, and we have to hope that somehow Ariados is going to be fine. And I use a shield, and my thought process here was, I need 2 moves minimum, but just go for the lunge first. Here's the thing, they have of course super effective coverage against us, which they would get to in time as well again, but I just have to hope that I still survive it, because it's the only win con that I have. I need to survive this power gem from the opponent, which I do thanks to the debuff, so I can go for a Trailblaze, otherwise I would have got knocked out there, and so the debuff was definitely the right play, and we can move on to the next opponent. Annihilate. Annihilate is a bit tricky in the lead, but here's the thing for Corviknight, at least you're going to be able to pressure them a bit. You can win this matchup in the zero shield scenario if you would have Drill Peck, which you don't, but they don't know. But also Corviknight is just so great against those fighting type Pokemon pretending to be a flyer, because you're literally not. You don't have the resistance to fighting type moves, but you don't even have here, in this case, even a flying type move in general, but you have great coverage on this Pokemon. We see it here as well, even against the Azumarill. We're going to be able to do a ton of damage against them, even though they were basically our answer here. And they go for the Ice Beam, that's fine. We can get a ton of energy on our Bibarel, because I don't carry down the health. I know it's gonna get aligned eventually against the Annihilate, and I don't want this. I don't need this. I need the energy instead. And now it's down to Ariados to win the battle. Other than the 2 cells of the Bibarel. 2 cells on Bibarel is kind of huge to have still, but I need my Ariados to kind of pull through. And so I decided to use a charge move here, a lunge against the opponent's Drapion. This is going to allow us to get them just a bit above half health, but another lunge plus a few more fast moves should be kind of enough. And so Crunch is coming through. We're going to go ahead and go for another lunge as well. This is going to allow us to get some nice damage, or get the shield here from the opponent as well. It's going to be great. And now they're going to be double debuffed to go for a Crunch, and it does not do that much damage, which is great. We maybe could have went for a Trailblaze here as well, but I don't know if Trailblaze would have done enough damage. Most likely actually not, because it's a non-step resisted hit. But as we'll see, that's incoming now. The opponent's Annihilate, and they make a great play. They catch the move here onto the Azumarill. If this would have failed, they would have lost instantaneously. Like, there was nothing they could have done to actually win the battle still. But because of the catch, they're going to be able to win this one, and that is very nicely played by the opponent. That's all I can say. Like, well played by the opponent. We can move on to the next opponent now. Dugong was so common in the lead, which is great for us, because again, we have Bibarel, and that's going to be a great matchup. And we can just go here for the Hyper Fang just to guarantee some nice damage against them. This is going to allow us to do so much damage, honestly, like literally so much damage, putting them down into the yellow health. And I even get like the moves a little bit faster. They swap out into the Toxapex. We have the hardest answer here in the Corviknight, and they decide to forfeit straight away. Let's see if our next opponent go forfeit. Horrible lead for us, and they swap out, and we swap out, and we have the Corviknight now against the Ninetales. That is absolutely amazing. Like, that's exactly what I want. And then seeing the opponent's lead and seeing the Charm Ninetales say swap here, I would assume that they have another Fairy type in the back, which, if you look at who I have in the back, it's gonna be a great matchup for us, because Ariados is gonna feast on that one. And so, we're gonna go for an Iron Head here. Gonna get the shield, that is fine. We're gonna get even to another Iron Head. So we have shield advantage, we have switch advantage, we have Ariados loaded there, ready to go for another Charmer. In comes the Whiscash, and I decide to still go straight into my Ariados, because I know that this Pokemon is going to have a lot of play, and they decide to forfeit straight away. Amazing lead here for the final battle. We're going to have the Talonflame lead, and I still decide to stay in again, because I need to get the, either the opponent very low here, or I need to get the shield. I rather would have the shield, to be fair. I maybe should have actually used the shield against the Crunch, because it did a little bit too much damage. But we're going to get them kind of low, which is okay. What we do now is we're going to farm them down. We're just not going to use the shield here. We're going to get some nice energy. But that's basically it. Crunch is coming through, and we can go for the full farm down. And well, let's see on how this is going to go. We have the Dark move coming in there. This is going to allow us to go for Payback here, doing some solid damage. And we can go for another Iron Head here to hopefully force the shield from the opponent. They cannot force the shield there. Yeah, basically you have to go for a shield. And then swap onto the Morpeko. We have to hope that we gonna get the bait correctly here, in terms of them going for the Psychic Fangs. and they do that. And that's going to be so huge for us, because in our real we've done way more damage, putting us into farmland range for the opponent most likely. But because I went for the Psychic Fangs, I can go for the lunge now, knock them out. Now it's down to Talonflame against my Bibarel, but Bibarel has the super effective fast move, double super effective, and 2 shields, and this is going to be it for this battle. This is going to be also it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like. This is the cheapest team in Pokemon Go, and it's actually really, really good. And so, yeah, definitely build this one. See you then. Bye-bye.